Sometimes you watch a film and it changes your entire perspective of what could be done with the medium. For Edgar Wright, that was the cult classic horror comedy, An American Werewolf in London.
Beware the moonlights.
Stay on the road. Keep clear of the moors.
You really scared me, you shithead. You couldn't help me up or what?
The wolf's bloodline must be severed. The last remaining werewolf must be destroyed. It's you, David.
Hello.
Don't worry, this isn't another video essay about Edgar Wright and his editing, dialogue or sound.
What?
What I want to talk about is the influence that one film had on him and his filmmaking, especially concerning his tone.
You know, I was so I remember it being such an intense experience because not only is it funny in the special effects, but it's so scary, and especially watching that kind of opening as a kid.
Just a quick recap on American Werewolf in London. The story follows two American backpackers trekking through Yorkshire, where they are attacked by a werewolf on the moors. One of the backpackers, Jack, is immediately killed, but the other, David, survives, only with wounds. David wakes up in hospital, where he is told him and Jack were attacked by an escaped lunatic on the moors. One night, David is visited by an undead Jack,
Can I have a piece of toast?
who explains to him that he's infected with the werewolf curse, and at the next full moon, he will transform into the Wolfman and wreak havoc.
Please believe me. You'll kill people.
Jack is stuck with all the others that were killed by the wolf, rotting in limbo until the curse is lifted.
Have you ever talked to a corpse? It's boring. I'm lonely.
David is then stuck with the thought that he will either turn into a wolf within the next few weeks, or he's in fact losing his mind. I think you can guess what happens next.
Jesus Christ!
Upon release, An American Werewolf in London had mixed reviews.
Big budget werewolf movies? Now a studio only does that if it believes the teenagers are the key to a big return on their investment. Let's face it, a $12 million werewolf picture? You gotta be kidding.
Landis's previous two films were pure comedies, Animal House and The Blues Brothers, and were extremely successful. Therefore, the marketing lent heavily into this.
From the makers of Animal House and the Blues Brothers comes a movie you can really sink your teeth into.
Oh, be serious, would you?
This meant, when advertised for test screenings, people thought they were going in to see a comedy.
Movie Star. Oh, it's a funny movie. Like 1,000 people. Oh, we loved it. Those boys are so cute. Oh, what a funny joke. And now they're on the moors and they're going, oh, this is funny. And then Jack is killed. 150 people walk out. Walk out.
People couldn't grasp the tone of the film. How could it be both a horror and a comedy?
So I wrote it in '69. It actually got me a lot of jobs, that script, because it was very, very funny. And it was also very, very scary. But the unanimous response was either this is too funny to be scary or this is too scary to be funny. It was just inconceivable to people that you could be both.
Landis wrote the script whilst working as a production assistant on Kelly's Heroes in Yugoslavia. Him and a local were driving to set when they happened upon a burial in the moors.
And they're burying this guy feet first, deep, and it's a burial, and it's some kind of ritual thing. He's being buried this way so he doesn't get up and cause mischief. And so I'm going, hello? What you mean get up? Like a zombie? Get up? Like what? And Sasha's going, yeah, he thought it was hysterical. There are about 40 people doing this thing. So we stood there for like 45 minutes watching this thing, and Sasha, meanwhile, has just pissed himself. He's laughing so hard. He thought it was the funniest thing. And I kept thinking, what if he did get up?
This is where Landis had the realization of the absurdity of being confronted by the undead.
The point is that Sasha and I would be totally, not only ill-equipped, but unequipped to deal with the living dead.
Holy shit.
Because it's not only out of our experience, it's horse shit. So, you know, when the man's standing in front of you going, like this, you're going, excuse me, you know, and you're making jokes or whatever it is, because it's clearly not real.
What's he do? Just say base or freeze.
This is the genius of An American Werewolf in London. Its tone. Is it a comedy? Is it a horror? Why not both? Many other comedy horrors tend to lean more to one side. Albert and Costello are in horror situations, but it's a comedy.
Hey, you'll have to get your dog away from the phone. I can't hear a word you're saying.
Scream has funny moments.
I never thought I'd be so happy to be a virgin.
But it's ultimately a horror film. American Werewolf in London is both. It has scenes that are equally as horrifying as they are funny. For instance, one of the most iconic parts of the film is the transformations, which in fact earned makeup artist Rick Baker the Oscar that year.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Academy for creating this new category.
Landis hated that in previous werewolf pictures, the transformations was just a guy sitting in a chair and suddenly becoming hairy. He wanted the whole affair to be painful.
Because I want to see the skull change. And the big thing, I wanted it to be painful. Because if your hand goes from, you know, this to a paw, you know, I really wanted it to be painful. I mean, because the human form, you know, it's weird. You know, I wanted the skull to elongate, just the cracking of the bones, and just make it horrific.
This scene is so horrific in its depiction of the transformation, and there's no comedy to it. Yet, in other scenes, such as the ones between David and Jack's rotting corpse ghost,
Gerald's the man you murdered on the subway.
there are elements of comedy.
Yes, I do look most unpleasant.
Landis masterfully blends these genres and tones into a great picture. This is what Wright took to heart when coming up with his debut and further films.
You do know the front door was open again last night?
I mean, me and Simon, when we were at Shaun of the Dead, we always, even though Shaun of the Dead is, you know, kind of inspired by George Romero and John Carpenter.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I don't want to cause a fuss.
We're coming to get you, Barbara.
American Werewolf in London was always the yardstick for the tone. Just had something that was slightly different. It wasn't kind of like, it was funny, but it wasn't like jokey, and it had kind of shocks in them, and the shocks were real. And you cared about the characters, and characters that you really cared about and thought were funny suddenly died.
Oh no, 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 come on, stop it, come on, please, don't go.
It's just something about it that, you know, that aspect of it, it's unpredictable quality. Especially for something which is trading on like a famous film from the 30s, you know, and one that you'd seen many times, and it's trading on that mythology, and yet it manages to come out with twists and turns and sort of nasty surprises that are just amazing.
Landis managed to blend these genres so well together by taking the most ridiculous part of it, the werewolf, or in the case of Edgar, the zombies, the neighborhood watch, and the blanks, and take them completely seriously. But it's the normal characters in this extraordinary situation that make it funny. It seems that in this situation, the only normal thing to do would be to laugh at it.
I wanted to take something ridiculous and try to make it real. So if you take these two young men who are smart, well, how do you deal with something that's not real? You laugh at it.
Nice doggy. Good boy. Come on, Jack. Walk away. Walking away, yes. Here we are, walking away.
Wright and Peck took this idea and went with it for Shaun of the Dead and even The World's End.
It's like taking real people and putting them in a fantastical situation. And sort of the comedy comes from sort of real, grounded, quite naturalistic characters reacting to something absolutely insane.
Oh my God. She's so drunk.
Whenever I watch it now, it's just like watching kind of like you know, it's like watching Casablanca or something for me, because every like 5 lines there's a line that I've like sort of impersonated.
Like the majority of Wright's productions, An American Werewolf in London is an incredibly British film.
I think one of the things that like sort of, which is very, very rare for an American film, and all credit to John Landis for this, is that it really nails what's great and what's ugly about Britain. And so many other films kind of do, you know, kind of Japanese tourist vision of like double-decker buses and beef eaters and stuff.
This one is maybe correlation does not equal causation. But it is interesting that in Wright's films set in Britain, he doesn't depict them as the Hollywood idea of the country. And even in Last Night in Soho, the beauty of 1960s London is a criticism of nostalgia. Wright, like many other directors, is known for his iconic soundtracks, using them for impact as well as irony. And where could he have possibly discovered this desire? American Werewolf.
It has an amazing soundtrack, and that was probably one of the first films that I saw where the use of pop music within the film as counter-scoring was really striking and really impactful.
Within the film, Landis seemed to use all the songs he could think of that included Moon within the title. Blue Moon by Bobby Vinton, Moondance by Van Morrison, and A Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. And we can see this use of his soundtrack as a joke within his films, with Skinner listening to Romeo and Juliet by Dire Straits as he drives past the traffic incident in Hot Fuzz, Happy Hour playing at the end of The World's End, or Never Gonna Give You Up by Barry White playing when Buddy confronts Baby in Baby Driver. This idea was brought to Wright through American Werewolf. Wright's films have always been about genre clashing, and I think his obsession with it comes from An American Werewolf in London, with obvious references to it. But the most consistent one isn't visual, it's within the tone of his films. Hot Fuzz is as much of an action film as it is a comedy, as is The World's End with alien invasions. When it's funny, it's hilarious.
A man of your legendary prowess drinking fucking rain.
And when it's serious, it can be genuinely moving.
What's important? What's so important about the Golden Mile? It's all I've got!
I think Edgar Wright has always been inspired by the horror genre when it comes to his films, with him naming Suspiria, Evil Dead 2, and Carrie as some of his favourite films of all time, and visually, he has emulated them on many occasions. But American Werewolf in London is where I think he got his genre-mashing inspiration from, as well as his mastery of tone. Other directors have clear inspiration for their tones, such as Nolan's quick wit emulating Bond movies.
Does it come in black?
Or Tarantino's dialogue tangents emulating B-movies and the French New Wave. But never have I seen a film that is so ingrained into a director's DNA than An American Werewolf in London is into Edgar Wright. Of course, there are other films that he adores, but I thought it was an interesting conversation to point out. Anyway, this is what I do between jobs.
Excuse me.
Consider subscribing and liking the video. It really helps me out.
Come over here.
And thank you very much for watching.
Yes, sir? A naked American man stole my balloon. What?